Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm going to be doing an entry using some of these new stamp sets from Sonshine Stamp Co. And I'm going to be working in Isaiah 40 verse 8. And it says, "The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever." So today I'm going to be using the Floral and Names of God set by Ashley, and then the Just My Type set by Bridgett. And I'm going to be showing you some stamp masking. So before we get started here, I just have a plain piece of copy paper, and I am stamping these different flowers onto that piece of paper. So I've gone ahead and stamped out all the ones that I think I'm going to use on this page. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut those out, and I'm cutting right on the stamped outer line of those flowers. And so I went ahead and cut all of those out. You can see them there kind of towards the center of the screen. And those are going to act as my masks as we go along stamping on this page, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. But first we'll get all the lettering down first. So I'm taking this set here. This is the Just My Type set, and I love this typewriter font. This has kind of become one of my go-to alpha stamp sets. So I'm pulling the letters out and kind of lining up everything where I think it's going to go on the page. I pulled this circle element that says Lord from the Names of God set, and then I'll go ahead and add some hand lettering in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just line those letters up on my stamp block, and then I'm making sure that I put something kind of hard behind the page. Here I'm using my Bible mat before I stamp, and I'll go ahead and stamp that down. Today I'm using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a waterproof pigment ink. However, it does bleed through your page, so if that's something that bothers you, you may want to prep your page first. And now I'm just adding in a little bit of hand lettering. I'm writing it in pencil first and then just going over it with a fine black pen. And here is that circle element, super cute. And so in the end, this is going to say, "The word of the Lord stands forever." I thought this was a great way to use these alphas, mix in some hand lettering, and just really get some use out of these stamp set. These stamps are part of the new release over at Sonshine Stamp Co. So make sure that you check out the description bar down below underneath this video, and it'll have links to all of the products used today. So now we'll go ahead and start stamping out some of these flowers. I absolutely love Ashley's doodled flowers. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I have adopted some of her style into my own doodle flowers. So these are super fun to use. So I'm going to go ahead and start stamping some of these down. Now, whichever flowers you stamp first, those are the ones that are going to be in the foreground of your end stamping. So you'll see at the end, these two tiny flowers will actually be on the top of the pile of flowers that will be on this page. So I went ahead and stamped those down, and then I took one of those masks, those paper masks, and laid it over the top of that flower that I'd already stamped down. And then that way when I go in with this bigger flower, the lines aren't going to intersect with that smaller flower. You can see that larger flower looks like it's behind the smaller flower. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. The lighting for this video is horrendous. I waited till too long into the day to start filming, and I didn't realize how bad it was until I started editing, so I'm sorry. Bear with me. I fix it in a little bit, and it's a little better, but it's not great. So I'm just going through and stamping some of these flowers down and making sure that I'm covering up any that I had stamped before. You can see that one towards the top didn't get a great impression when I stamped, but that's okay. I'll show you how I fix that at the end here. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. I'm just going and working one flower at a time, making sure that I cover up anything that I've stamped before I stamp down more flowers. And that's going to create these little flower bunches, and it's going to look like there's flowers behind each other without any of the lines running into each other and becoming a muddled mess. So that is it for the floral stamps. And then I'll show you here what I do is I go ahead and I keep these stamps in their packaging, and then I keep all of these masks in the back of that packaging, because you can use these again and again and again until they get too saturated with ink. So if you took the time to cut all these out, then you should probably save them. So I keep them just in the back of the packaging, and then they're ready for the next time that I use that set. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a fine tip black pen, And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the areas where the stamping wasn't great. So my Bible's getting pretty full, so even with that mat behind the page, there's just still some areas that sometimes when I stamp, the stamping doesn't come out great, but that's okay. You can go back in with this pen and it matches the ink perfectly, and I can fill those in. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my favorite watercolors. These are the Kiritake Gonzai Tombi, that's a mouthful, watercolors. And I'm going to go ahead and watercolor these flowers. And I'm going to show you today a technique that I do when I don't have a lot of time to work on a page, or if I'm just wanting something really quick. This is something that I do frequently. And with these stamps kind of are a little bit more intricate. They have a lot of detail to them. And instead of fussing with all that detail, this is how I kind of balance that out. So what I'm doing is I'm just tapping the page with some water, really messy, outside of the lines, not fully filling in the flowers, really messy, just putting some water down and then dropping the color into that water. And you'll see it's not fully filling up those flowers. It's outside of the lines. It's running into other flowers. I just kind of want a really loose splash of color in those flowers so that you have the impression that they are colored in, but I don't want to spend the time fussing with each little line and piece that has to be shaded and things like that. And sometimes I do take the time, but for this page in particular, because I took a lot of time with the stamping, I didn't want to fuss with the watercolor so much. So I go ahead and make sure that I dry areas before I paint other areas that are going to be right next to wet areas. I make sure I dry those just so that the colors don't run together and make a big giant mess. I want to kind of dry pieces as I go along and work in dry areas. Seeing here, I'm just taking a bunch of different colors, really randomly dropping it into those stamps. And then here I'm taking some of that yellow color, and I'll take some of that green color, and I'm just kind of tapping my brush to get little like sprinkles of color on the page. And that's just going to tie in the rest of the messiness that I have. I'm going to go ahead and take a fine tip pen and underline the verse. Again, we're working Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8. I'm going to go ahead and take my date stamp and stamp the date down at the bottom. And then here I have these library cards in the front of my Bible. Every single entry I date on this card and then write the verse that I journaled. And I keep track of all of my journaling in my Bibles in those cards. I'll go ahead and link in the top right hand corner a video where I show how I make that little pocket. And be sure to check the description bar down below for links to all of the products used in the video today, as well as a link to the Sonshine Stamp Co blog. I'll have a blog post over there for this page as well, and you can check out some of the things that the other ladies are working on. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.